Won't get you there. Heads up, Guam. IP&E, fueling excellence. McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it, and King's Restaurant. Always open, always local, and serving up favorites for over 40 years.
Starting now on Primetime, Sabrina Salas Matanati reports on a scary incident where one woman was struck by a knife while traveling in Sinajana. Plus, the Guam Power Authority reaches a settlement with the US EPA after violating the Clean Water Act. Nestor Lacanto has details about that story. And Joe Nugent-Charfus reports on a recap from the oversight hearing with the Department of Parks and Recs director in the hot seat. Half a day to all of you and good evening, streaming us all over the world. I'm Jason Salas. These are tonight's top stories. Well, imagine, if you will, driving along the road and then a knife, of all things, flies through your window and ends up striking a passenger. As it may sound hard to believe, Sabrina Salas Matanani reports that that particular situation happened to a couple traveling through the central village of Sinajana.
It was just an ordinary night, 7:15 in the evening, and this happened.
Angelica Gumatautal's 19-year-old son and his girlfriend were on their way to the store when she received a terrifying phone call.
All I can hear is his girlfriend in the background screaming, yelling, and crying.
Angelica says they were driving along Palikiran Hickey, heading toward the Sinajana Palace, when they noticed one man standing in the center of the road and another on the right side. When her son tried to go around the man in the middle, he threw something toward them. Their car windows were rolled down.
It missed my son. My daughter-in-law ducked down, and they didn't see anything, but she felt her head was hurting, and then she noticed that she was bleeding. So he brought her to the fire station. So apparently it was a 10-inch knife that was thrown at them, and she has a laceration on the right side of her head.
Angelica is an employee at the Ganya Heights mayor's office. Mayor Paul McDonald believes he knows those involved. They're kids that have been caught on video in the past that have committed other crimes in his village. But when evidence is turned over to police, it's been a revolving door, and the cycle of crime continues.
I've seen these guys. You know, these individuals that have committed the crime, they would come out and hang around again, and I'll talk to them, and I say, hey guy, you gotta shape up, or we're gonna ship you out. And they'll just come back again the following day. That's very frustrating.
It's frustrating also for Sinajana Mayor Robert Hoffman. Like McDonald, he's seen crimes rising in his village.
I think there's mounting frustration in terms of the justice system about it's either catch and release, or they get to their court dates are a lot farther away, and so many of the residents are frustrated, and I see it because sometimes the majority of the time that I get these calls, or we end up having to respond or getting the police involved, it's from repeat offenders. And so they've learned the system well, and I think that's the frustration we all have now as mayors, because everyone wants that. So whether it be from the AG side or from the court or DOC or for whatever else like that, or maybe the charges are or the fines, or the amount of time is not scary enough for them to actually deter them. But it is something that we're concerned about.
While both mayors understand the manpower shortages at GPD, they are also asking their constituents to be vigilant. This while residents like Angelica pray that something will get done to make Guam safer.
I just hope that, GPD can do their investigation and find the individual or individuals that, did this incident, because it's going to keep happening. It's going to get worse. I mean, this is a knife. Can you imagine? What if it was a gun, or what if it was something more serious?
Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Sabrina Salas Matanani.
Sabrina adds that GPD says the case has been forwarded to the Criminal Investigation Division. In other news, Judge Arthur Barcinas has requested pending motions in Mark Torrey Jr.'s case be handled prior to undertaking any new matters. Before officially resigning, Judge Michael Bordallo has ruled on the defense's motion to exclude prior testimony. And in this decision and order, the court will allow the playback of Dr. Aurelio Espinola's testimony to be used in the second trial of the case, due to the fact the government provided that he is legally unavailable. They added Torrey may renew the motion at a later time, and the government will again have to prove that they could not contact the doctor. Also in the decision, Judge Bordallo will now allow the government to play back witness Charles Pendleton's testimony, as he no longer lives on Guam and resides in the States. In addition, the court ruled against the replay of GPD officer Sean Meno due to a lack of evidence from the prosecution to come into contact with the witness. Torey's next appearance is on the 27th before Judge Barcenas, where arguments will be made on Torey's new motion to dismiss. He, of course, faces aggravated assault and negligent homicide charges for the 2015 fatal shooting of fellow cop Albert Piolo. Well, a new indictment in other news has charged Kettner Harry with aggravated murder, criminal sexual conduct as first-degree felonies, and aggravated assault and strangulation. He was arrested for the homicide of 37-year-old Luciana Pali, as it was on the 26th of January when he committed the offenses and allegedly killed the woman after engaging in sex and beating her, leaving her body on Ramirez Way in Totu, where she was found by neighborhood kids. Autopsy results revealed she died of multiple blunt force trauma to the head, and at Harry's magistrate's hearing, cash bail was set at $100,000. His arraignment will be held on the 12th. Elsewhere, trial has been delayed by 1 week for Brandon Acosta, who faces rape and murder charges for the 2018 death of Tamika Nauta. He's asserted his rights and pleaded not guilty. He was scheduled for February 17th for trial, although the government requested for a 2-week delay and the defense agreeing to a 1-week pushback. The court granted the week delay and scheduled trial for the 24th. It's also stated in court that both parties have submitted their potential witness list, and Judge Vern Perez asked the government to provide more information on an expert witness before trial begins. A return was set for February the 21st. Elsewhere, 26-year-old Sinampur Sukion was arrested and charged with first and second-degree criminal sexual conduct after a 13-year-old accused him of rape. The victim said Sukion called her into a room on February 7th and locked the door so they could play fight. Instead, he laid her on the bed and then sexually assaulted her. When Sukion was interviewed by police, he admitted to the incident, and after the girl left the room, he cried because he felt bad. In other island news headlines, a pair of brothers have been accused of stealing and selling a pair of baby goats, stealing them back, and then trying to sell them again. Social media helped catch Jonathan Kitsutsu, 18 years old, and John Kitsutsu, who is 21, each charged with multiple counts of theft by property, theft by deception, and criminal trespass. The brothers plan to steal 3 goats from a home in Jotnya, with Jonathan climbing over the fence, taking 2 of the baby goats. The following day, the pair sold those babies to a woman for $200, later returning to the Jotnya home to steal the adult goat. When they went back to the woman to try and sell her the adult, she was not home. The pair then entered the property and stole the baby goats from her. They were able to sell 1 baby goat to a woman for $75 before she saw the story that we posted on social media Saturday morning. Police were able to catch the brothers before they sold the other goats. Thank you for your participation in this. From federal court, Chief Judge Frances Tadienko Gatewood was blunt with her opinion today, saying Cedric Linsangan not only lacked standing, but also had no concrete evidence that Guam's marijuana law poses an immediate threat of injury. Linsangan did challenge the recreational cannabis law last April, claiming it to be unconstitutional, with the Chief Judge upholding Magistrate Judge Joaquin Manabusan's recommendation to throw the case out. In utility headlines, GWA has been slapped with violation notices by the EPA for deficient leak detection systems at underground storage tanks at 5 different sewer pump stations. Nick Lee is a spokesperson for the Guam EPA.
There were some deficiencies that were observed during these routine inspections. We've made GWA well aware of those deficiencies. They are proactive in getting those corrected. Some of the things that we observed were incomplete records. Leak detection systems are crucial for environmental and human protection. Anytime you have a regulated substance like fuel, which has a chance to seep into the ground, that's never a good thing.
GWA says they're responding to the violation notices and will meet with the contractor. Both GWA and the EPA indicate there have been no signs of any leaks at any of the 5 sites. Also tonight, facing potential fines of more than $600 million for violating the Clean Air Act, GPA has instead reached a $400,000 settlement with the EPA. But as part of the deal, the utility agency has also agreed to build what will be the largest ever power plant. Nestor Locanto explains in this story.
GPA entered into a consent decree with the federal EPA for non-compliance with national emission standards for hazardous air pollutants at the Cabras and PD power plants. The $400,000 settlement negotiated over several years is small compared to the $600 million GPA says it could have been hit with. However, it has also agreed to build a new 198-megawatt low-sulfur diesel power plant in Dedido. GPA General Manager John Benavente says it made more sense to do that than to retrofit the aging Cabras and PD plants to meet new emission standards.
So the new power plant is going to be with us for another 40, 50 years. The new power plant is going to allow us to consume 1 million barrels or about 42 million gallons of oil less a year. It's going to, although it's more expensive fuel, it's cleaner, and we can afford it by consuming less.
GPA signed a 25-year build, operate, and transfer contract with the Korean Electric Power Company in November, and Benavente says they are scheduled to break ground in a few months. The consent decree requires the plant be built by October 2023. The penalties for missing the deadlines are $240,000 per day. CCU Chairman Joey Duenas.
The court and EPA are reasonable. What they most want to see is the effort that you're making to accomplish what you agreed to. If they believe that you are accomplishing what you agreed to, they are reasonable people.
The estimated cost to GPA over the term of the KEPCO deal are $600 million in power purchases and $2.3 billion in fuel. For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
GPA says their plan also includes boosting solar capacity to 140 megawatts. Well, simply stated, it's not rocket science, it's a swimming pool. That's a direct quote in an oversight hearing with Parks and Rec, whose director is in the hot seat, in which he addressed long-standing issues with the Hagåtña and Dedido pools. Joe Algenscharfers has more.
On Friday afternoon, the public hearing room was filled with frustrated members from the swimming community who utilize the island's 2 public pools, all wanting answers as to why the pools have not been maintained. Parent and athlete Dr. Michelle Santos says that there is a level of trust that one has when submersing themselves into a public pool, and that trust was broken.
A manager or leader is not expected to know everything, but it is incumbent upon that leader to have the right people in place or the right resources in place so that appropriate decisions can be made. And when a leader feels that they are too important to listen to others, or when a leader feels that a title makes them the expert, then we have a problem. So I'm sorry, but shame on you.
Committee Chair Senator Kelly Marsh Taitono called for the hearing after receiving complaints from parents whose kids got sick after swimming in the Hagåtña pool. Currently, both pools are closed, and there's no timeline in place as to when both will reopen. The almost 3-hour oversight was filled with testimonials from children, parents, and coaches, but started with DPR Director Richard Ibanez.
I'd like to apologize to everybody in here that utilizes the pool, Hagåtña and Dedido. Before I came on board, those were the 2 goals that I mentioned on the media that I wanted to fix both pools.
Senator Telo Taitagui questioned Ibanez about why it was taking so long to procure parts.
In procurement law, you're allowed to purchase things below $50,000 without having to go to procurement. Is that still true to form with your department? Anything under $50,000?
I'm not sure, Senator.
You're not even sure? And this is why it's taking so long for procurement, because you're not even sure of the procurement laws. You know, everybody's waiting for this vow. You don't know the answer, when it's going to come, or anything like that. And that's what everybody here is waiting for.
Ibanez explained what needs to be purchased and repaired for both pools to get them up and running, and offered a history of the pool's issues and what has led them to this particular point. The pool contractor, Canton Construction, did not attend the hearing, and many who testified, such as Guam Swimming Federation member and newly appointed DPR board member Chris Duenas and parent Frank Flores, questioned the competency of the contractor.
I think the solution here as a board member is to change the contractor at hand and hold the contractor, whoever comes on board, accountable for their actions. A 2-year contract at several $1,000s a month, and the pool is not in operation. I think they owe us some money. I think they owe the people of Guam some answers.
Poor leadership and a substandard contractor are to blame for the problems at our pool. Pool should be available 95% of the time, and every time it's open, it should be safe 100% of the time.
Requesting the oversight be continued to allow for more discussion, Senator Regine Biscoli did want to ask why DPR allowed for one budget cycle to pass with no increase ever requested for DPR for more manpower and equipment and other needs.
I really would like for a status of alternative facilities. Where can the stakeholders go today in the meantime while Agana and Dededo are closed? What solutions are we going to have for the water aerobics folks, for our Manumku, for people with disabilities to use the pools in the weeks while you're implementing your plan?
Right before recessing the hearing, Senator Biscoli had this to say.
DPR will be held accountable for these standards, and if the department fails to meet these standards, I will call for your resignation, Mr. Director.
The hearing was continued for some time between February 25th through the 28th, when Ibanez will return from an off-island trip. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Jonah Goncharfris.
Sit tight, primetime will continue right after this.
Get up-to-the-minute news, plus access to alerts, streaming radio, promotions, and more on your mobile device by downloading the KUAM News mobile app, available at the App Store now. Green Energy Solutions, Inc. would like to congratulate GU Self-Storage along with Calvo Enterprises in doing their part by going green with a monthly power reduction by over 80%. Power consumption before installation was 39,700 kilowatt hours. After installation ended in 6,221 kilowatt hours, which resulted in savings over $10,000 a month. GESI also offers LED lights, solar thermal VRF air conditioning, and solar photovoltaics. Visit our website and let us help you save.
Half the day, I'm in the club.
Half a day, welcome to Two Lovers Point.
Half a day, I'm in the club.
Shop Guam E-Festival is back with amazing deals. Download the free Shop Guam mobile app on your app store and present the discount code to your favorite Shop Guam vendors. Get access to hundreds of offers, including shopping, dining, and entertainment. Enjoy great deals now until February 10th.
Based on the blockbuster that has critics craving. It's the all-new Buffalo Chicken Nacho Fries, topped with shredded chicken and drizzled with tangy buffalo sauce. Bring home this mouth-watering sequel with Taco Bell delivery.
It's a special delivery to your inbox every week with your KUAM News Roundup, program advisories, and promotions. Sign up for the weekly KUAM Digital Digest today on KUAM.com.
Well, we do have some good news to start off your work week, as Revenue Taxes processed nearly $700,000 in tax refunds, and they'll mail out checks in the next coming days. These come to about 203 error tax returns for returns filed on or before the 17th of August. That's the all-important number that you always want to know. August 17th is the number. Call Revenue Tax if you have more questions. Speaker Tina Munoz-Barnes has appointed Will Castro and Amanda Shelton, as well as registered nurse Ruth Gursami, as Hospital Planning Task Force. The group was created by the recent enactment of law authored by Senator Tello Taitigui. The task force would study the development of a new public hospital facility, with Taitigui saying with more than $200 million worth of repairs needed to rehabilitate the current GMH facility, the option of building a new hospital instead certainly requires a transparent decision-making process, proper planning, and community support. Well, the process to get a new mayor of Jotnya started today as candidate packets were made available at the GEC. According to Director Maria Pangilinan, before 10 a.m. this morning, at least 7 people had officially expressed interest to run for the position to replace Jesse Blas amid his legal troubles. Pangilinan stresses that Jotnya mayoral candidates who already filed or picked up packets to run in the primary but plan to run in the special election cannot use the same nominating petitions and must resubmit. Interested candidates have until February 27th to file. Also introduced today was a bill appropriating $28,000 to the GEC for the special election on Saturday, March 28th. Calvo Select Care's health plans received full accreditation from the Accreditation Association for Ambulatory Health. Frank Campillo with Calvo Select Care says this signifies their commitment to raising the quality of care and services that they provide to members. He says accreditation is awarded to plans whose service and clinical quality meets the organization's rigorous requirements for consumer protection and quality improvement. Also in business headlines, it'll be Japanese retail giant Don Quijote's largest Don Donkey convenience store, as officials broke ground on the project today at the future location at the intersection of Marine Corps Drive and Airport Road. Founder and chairman Takao Yasuda told the crowd that he chose Guam after coming here several times for corporate training. He says he's confident the location will prove to be fruitful. The grand opening is scheduled for next September, with the size of the building being 270,000 feet, while the Don store will be 160,000. There are nearly 700 such stores throughout the U.S. and Asia. Well, this afternoon, Senator Kelly Marsh Taitano held a press conference at the museum to announce the selected delegates who will represent Guam in FESPAC in Hawaii in June. Chairs of the 4 committees that will oversee the program in Guam will participate during FESPAC were announced last October. It's expected there will be an announcement regarding the first set of exciting partnerships between businesses and organizations which have agreed to provide donations or services to help make the 2020 organization and event a success. Well, on Friday morning, in other news, the USS Theodore Roosevelt and the guided missile destroyer, the USS Pinckney, pulled into Naval Base Guam with roughly 6,000 on board combined. And while many enjoyed liberty over the weekend, more than 20 sailors from Guam spent much-needed time with family. Once again, here's Joan Ugancharfers.
Dededo resident Scott Sababoro is an aviation boatswain mate who is responsible for refueling the Navy jets, and he was overjoyed to have his son Kyler and his wife Carmelissa finally in his arms.
I miss it. It's been almost a year since I've been home, and just can't wait to spend time with the family.
Sababoro is one of over 20 sailors originally from Guam who, upon disembarking the aircraft carrier, were welcomed by beaming loved ones carrying huge signs and leis, all of whom have been anxiously awaiting this moment. It's been 2 years since Melanie Estelori, an aviation ordnanceman second class, has been home.
It's hot. I think I haven't gotten used to it for a while, but it's good to be home.
As for what her weekend plans consisted of,
beach. I think I'm due some tan. Food, and I really want to spend time with a lot of my family, especially since like my niece and my great I haven't seen them in a while, and last time I saw them, there's barely walking. Now she's running around everywhere, and it's good to catch up with everybody, especially like see my grandma. You know, she's getting older, so.
Air Traffic Controller First Class Jolyn St. Nicholas was last on island 3 years ago.
Very exciting to be back home. Great to see family, great to see the island of Guam again, and of course eat the great food, meet people again.
For St. Nicholas, while it will be heartwarming to spend time with family, she's thrilled her shipmates will be able to experience the culture, food, and scenic areas the island of Guam has to offer. And in between catching up with loved ones, St. Nicholas, along with other sailors from Roosevelt and Pinckney, volunteered their time within the community, assisting at the Hagåtña Public Library.
We'll be helping out with the kids, probably reading stories, helping out arrange whatever project they have for us. I'm happy to serve.
Sailors also helped Island Girl Power with their Friends of the Park project, the Vietnam Veterans Clubhouse in Manilao, and Guam Animals in Need. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Jonah Gancharfris.
Joan also reports that the Roosevelt and Pinckney, as part of the carrier strike group, the Theodore Roosevelt, left their home port in San Diego on January 17th for deployment to the U.S. 7th Fleet's area of responsibility. Please stay tuned. Sports is coming up.
What's that? An Alpha Insurance customer needs a claim settled immediately? I'm on it.
Agent Alpha. In the event of an accident, theft, or breakdown, each of our Alpha Insure agents are trained to go above and